Oh, somebody's got a cat picture.
We got a couple minutes before we start the countdown of doom.
That sounds like a really interesting subject. That's why I'm here. With beer.
I just got a notification on my phone that Sunday Simulate Lando is live on YouTube.
Hey, well, I just got a little thing up there that said it was live on YouTube. How do you do that?
So yeah, for co-hosts or whatever, yeah, it's one of the buttons down below.
Oh, okay. So you can just stream on YouTube at the same time. I wonder if I have that. Is it something that I guess it's part of the premium accounts?
Probably. I have not spent a lot of time on the non-premium.
Hey, Ashley. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Hey, Ross, I'm home.
I noticed.
Barely in the nick of time, though. I just unpacked the groceries.
Oh, groceries. Oh, right. You can also stream on Facebook.
Okay.
I think you do have to pick just one, though. I would
Okay.
love to just beam this out to the world. But...
Yeah, now people are pouring in.
So basically, you can stream on YouTube, and when you do that, it automatically records it, and so you wouldn't have to be the but never mind. I was just thinking about, because I do host events for UUCA. I mean, I do Zoom events for UUCA, and I had to get somebody to make me the host so I can record them, which, yeah, it's not a big deal, but
you'd still need someone to make you the host to stream it.
yeah, that's what I
they
realized. It's like, well, if I was going to be had to be make the host anyway, that's not going to work around anything. So.
I'm going to go ahead and hit that record button, though. I don't see why not.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we can. He said he didn't want to record his music intro, but we can.
Well, I think the key was to not stream on YouTube till then, but I'd say don't worry about it.
We'll just worry about it later.
I'll have to edit no matter what. So
okay. Well, this also the PBS video I'm going to share is also probably.
It will also do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll be right in the middle. So, okay, but yeah, everyone look in the chat. There is the life happens, and I'm going to share.
Yep, I got my life happens in.
Hold on, let me. How do I? Is that sharing? No, that's not sharing.
You are not sharing your screen yet.
Why did that not
make
work?
sure when you're going to share a video that you click that checkbox or whatever that says optimize for video clip. And share computer sound, obviously.
Except I don't want to share the computer sound for this slideshow, so.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to do.
So there's sharing that.
Can I say hi to all the people who have joined, especially Matt from across the pond? We appreciate you.
Oh, yes, the old roller coaster.
Okay, tell you what, I'm going to leave it on share computer sound, and I just turned the volume all the way down on that. So.
And hello to Brian. Hello to Mella. We got the Cobbles in the house.
Hey Ross, how you doing?
Hey Dwight. I'm doing all right. I've been working over this weekend, so.
Oh, you've been working this weekend, huh?
Yeah, it's been a thing.
Oh wow.
Should I come in, over?
Yeah, you can come in, Laura.
Hi.
You can't do it from your phone? I mean, if you're here.
I'm doing it from the tablet.
So Matt shared in chat that he can't speak much, but I know he shared on the Sunday Assembly Everywhere workplace that the UK had a joint assembly today with, what was it, 8? You can use your fingers. Was it 7? 7, 8? Oh, is that a German 3? I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, quite a number of assemblies all working together to put on something great.
Oh, that's nice.
Now they do it at 11, which means, or like, I'm sure it was around that time. So we would have to wake up at quite early.
Yeah.
I think they're 5 hours ahead of us.
It might be 4 right now.
There were a few people there from California. Jeff from LA was there. It was only 3 in the morning for him.
That's even more egregious. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I closed the door, I can talk, but yeah, it was great. We had a fantastic time. Had about 150 people, loads of songs and brilliant talks. Yeah, it's really good. We've got to do that again. So much less effort than when you do you're just on your own as well.
That's awesome.
So that's my life happens.
Oh, we could just do that, stay in the same one.
I know, but we can't get close enough together.
We can.
Well, hello, Michelle, and hello, Andy. Howdy.
Hello there. Good to be here.
Good afternoon or evening or whatever.
Whatever.
Nice blue, clear day here in Atlanta.
Indeed.
It was cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tad on the chilly side this morning, but I went for a walk anyway.
Ashley went
down
for
like
a
3
run
trees
and a bike
today.
ride.
Did someone say something about a bike rack?
I think Ross said actually on a bike ride.
Oh, bike ride.
Bike
Yeah.
ride rather than a rack.
I went on a long run this morning. I'm training for a half marathon and I hit 7 miles today.
Nice.
Good about that.
Oh, good.
And then went on a supplemental little bike ride this afternoon just because it was so lovely outside.
Yeah. I did
Also,
it.
Jared, I have no idea at what point I'm running the Mentimeter stuff, but just like, give me the bat signal.
I will. It'll be after the Knowledge Arc talks. We'll go into some of that stuff and
Beautiful.
I'll give you a sign.
Great.
Oh, we're down to under 30.
Mhm.
If it's not literally a Batman signal, Ashley, do not proceed. Oh my God. He's so
I can
prepared.
provide a bat signal.
That's amazing.
All right. Cool. Our interactivity is not threatened.
I appreciate you.
And all right. Welcome everybody who's come here to Sunday Assembly. Let me see. There we go. Welcome everyone who's come to Sunday Assembly. I'm sure we'll have some more people come in. It occurred to me as I've been planning for this month that we have not had nearly enough music in these assemblies lately. And there was a specific song that occurred to me after the thing that I figured we had to play. So I'm going to yield the microphone to my friend Sting and let him say a few words, which I put on the screen so you can see what is going on here. Let me see. New share. And let me see. Show your sound. Here we go. Okay, well, welcome everybody to this month's Sunday Assembly. My name is Jared. I'll be your MC for tonight. We at Sunday Assembly are a secular community without deity, dogma, or doctrine. We want to help everyone live better, help often, and wonder more in this one life we know we have. And it's so easy to remember all that if I can read it off my cheat sheet here on the screen. We're so glad everyone's here. Our topic for this week is futures. Let me put my little nifty slide back on. The reason I wanted to do a topic like this month is it occurred to me the last few assemblies we've been really hyper-focused on like the state of the world right now, where we are right now, how we're coping with the world right now, the things going on, which is all very valuable and very important, especially in times like these. It can also be very mentally confining and like tunnel visioning. So I want to, this month, it'd be interesting if we could just like see if we can step out of this box that we're all stuck in online right now and try to put our minds forward and look ahead and envision what might be coming down the road for good or ill. But just to try and keep the present moment in perspective, let's see where we could be going to come. So I want to start off, let me see, I already said all that, is we're going to have a reading, the poem this month, which is going to be Relativity by Sarah Howe. And let me, our readers, Anna, I have a pre-recorded reading. So here, let me,
Relativity for Stephen Hawking. When we wake up, brushed by panic in the dark, our pupils grope for the shape of things we know. Photons, loosed from slits like greyhounds at the track, reveal light's doubleness in their cast shadows. That stripe, a dimmed lab's wall, particles no more. And with the wave bid all certainties goodbye. For what's sure in a universe that Dopplers away like a siren's midnight cry? They say a flash seen from, on and off a hurtling train will explain why time dilates like a perfect afternoon predicts black holes where parallel lines will meet, whose stark horizon even starlight, bent in its tracks, can't resist. If we can think this far, might not our eyes adjust to the dark?
okay, so I want to thank Anna for providing that. Very meaningful poem for our time, I believe. And before we get into the meat, it would be remiss of us not to take a moment and reflect upon a very important we lost yesterday. Was it? No, it was Friday now, wasn't it? So, yeah. So we have a. Next, I'm going to share a little tribute from PBS NewsHour on Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Let me see. How do I? Hold on, that's not sharing, is it? Hang on.
I'll throw out a reminder to Life Happens if you haven't already.
Yes, if you go to the
connect to other people.
Yes, if you hit over in the chat right now, we have a link to the Life Happens where we can share events that have been going on in our lives with everyone else, so we can just keep up there. Okay, now I'll do the share correctly. Hold on. All right. Oh God, dang it. Okay.
Oh, whoops.
There we go.
In my lifetime, I expect to see 3, 4, perhaps even more women on the High Court bench, women not shaped from the same mold, but of different complexions.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg was on her way to becoming the second woman on the Supreme Court when she made that prediction.
Serving on this court is the highest honor, the most awesome trust, that can be placed in a judge.
Her confirmation in 1993 marked the pinnacle of a legal career that broke gender barriers. She was born Ruth Joan Bader in 1933 in Brooklyn, New York, to parents of Ukrainian and Austrian descent. She cited those immigrant roots as a source of strength and encouragement at this naturalization ceremony for new citizens in 2018.
What is the difference between a bookkeeper in New York City's garment district and a Supreme Court justice? One generation, my own life bears witness. The difference between the opportunities available to my mother and those afforded me.
The young Ruth Bader graduated first in her class from Cornell University in 1954. That same year, she married Martin Ginsburg. He became a lawyer and encouraged her to do the same.
I have had the great good fortune to share life with a partner truly extraordinary for his generation, a man who believed at age 18 when we met that a woman's work, whether at home or on the job, is as important as a man's.
Ginsburg was one of just 9 women in her entering class at Harvard Law School. It was 1956. The dean admonished the women for taking spots that could have gone to men. Despite that, she became the first woman to join the prestigious Harvard Law Review, and all the while cared for her young children and her husband, recovering from cancer. Ginsburg ended up transferring to Columbia Law School and graduated first in her class. Many law firms still balked at hiring women, but she landed teaching jobs and eventually became Columbia Law School's first female tenured professor. During the 1970s, she worked with the American Civil Liberties Union, arguing 6 landmark cases on gender equality before the U.S. Supreme Court, and winning 5 of them.
Sex, like race, has been made the basis for unjustified, or at least unproved assumptions concerning an individual's potential to perform or to contribute to society.
In 1980, President Carter named Ginsburg to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. It was another milestone moment, as she told the NewsHour in 2016.
It would not be a realistic ambition for a woman to want to become a federal judge. It was not realistic until Jimmy Carter became our president. He looked around at the federal judiciary and said, "That's nice, but they all look like me." That's not how the great United States looks.
Ginsburg served on the appeals court for 13 years, until President Clinton nominated her to the Supreme Court. She was overwhelmingly confirmed by the Senate.
I, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, do solemnly swear,
and went on to become one of the court's most prolific writers and frequent questioners, as well as the senior member of its liberal bloc. In 1996, Ginsburg wrote the majority opinion that the all-male Virginia Military Institute could no longer refuse to admit women. In 2000, she strongly disagreed with the Bush v. Gore decision that cemented George W. Bush's win in the presidential race. Her dissent omitted the customary use of the word respectfully. Still, Ginsburg became close friends with an ideological opposite, conservative colleague Antonin Scalia. She eulogized him after his death in 2016.
Once asked how we could be friends given our disagreement on lots of things, Justice Scalia answered, "I attack ideas. I don't attack people. Some very good people have some very bad ideas."
Late in life, Ginsburg gained new, younger admirers with a scathing dissent to a decision that gutted part of the Voting Rights Act. It inspired a Tumblr blog called Notorious RBG, a nod to the late rapper Notorious B.I.G.
Notorious B.I.G. and I had something in common. We were both born and bred in Brooklyn, New York.
Thanks to the blog and a book by the same name, the soft-spoken, diminutive octogenarian Justice became an unlikely celebrity, complete with T-shirts and other merchandise bearing her likeness. Her life story even made it to the big screen, twice. The documentary RBG was released in May of 2018.
I ask no favor for my sex. All I ask of our brethren is that they take their feet off our necks.
It offered a behind-the-scenes look at her rise to star status on the High Court. And the 2018 feature film, On the Basis of Sex, starring Felicity Jones as Ginsburg, chronicled her early legal career.
If the law differentiates on the basis of sex, then how will women and men ever become equals?
Privately, Ginsburg also faced a number of health complications. In 1999, she was diagnosed with colon cancer. A decade later, she was treated for pancreatic cancer. In 2014, she underwent a heart procedure to have a stent implanted. Then came surgery for lung cancer in 2019. But Ginsburg never slowed down for long, working out with a personal trainer twice a week. And she remained a staunch advocate for women and minorities in the courtroom and beyond. In the end, her prediction came true. Over the years, she shared the Supreme Court bench with 3 other female justices, Sandra Day O'Connor, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan.
People ask me sometimes, when do you think it will be enough? When will there be enough women on the court? And my answer is, when there are 9.
All right. She will be missed.
Definitely.
Thanks for finding that and sharing that with us.
Oh. Yeah, it's of course I wasn't aware of those documentaries either, so now I need to track those down. I'll recommend everyone do that. All right, so we're gonna move on now, and the first thing we're gonna talk about is looking into the future, is this really interesting concept of knowledge arcs, a way to preserve our knowledge for the future. And I'm gonna share a slideshow and pass the mic to Freya, and I'll click the screens, just give me a nod or whatever when we need to here. Let me screen share. Okay.
Okay. I came across the concept of a knowledge arc several years ago. It's basically a way to preserve our collective culture and learning just in case of a civilization ending calamity, which is all too possible. So go ahead.
Okay.
Yes. Many civilizations in the past have vanished. They may have lasted generations or centuries, but some disaster wiped them out, and oftentimes they leave just tantalizing scraps. So we don't know what these people thought, what they talked, what they sang, their philosophy was. And of course, our modern technology is no guarantee that we will survive. In fact, since so much of our stuff is now in electronic form, that makes it all the more vulnerable, because when the power goes out, no GPS, no Wikipedia, no texting, no nothing. Okay. And of course, these are just some of the threats that a civilization faces. I mean, right now we've got COVID-19 going, and that's already causing no end of problems. And war, where some of us have seen how destructive war can be. And of course, with nuclear weapons, it could really be bad. And now we know climate change is happening, and it's having effects. It's changing weather patterns, and it could cause hordes of refugees who will cause problems, because some countries may not want them, and so they could inadvertently bring diseases. And also another threat a lot of people don't think about is a coronal mass ejection, or CME. You need to read up on the Carrington event, when a coronal mass ejection scored a bullseye on Earth. Back then, we didn't have that much in the way of electricity, and it caused the telegraph wires to short out, and some telegraph operators suffered shocks. But the Carrington event today would cut off electricity, internet, satellites. It would really wreak havoc. And then, of course, an asteroid or comet impact, we may not be able to turn such an object aside in time. And there are others, okay. And you might think, oh, come on, what are you, paranoid? But think about all the precautions you take in your personal life. I mean, you lock your front door when you go out, you put on your seatbelt, and also we make backups of our personal information. We make copies of the deed to your house, the title to your car, may your marriage certificate, birth certificate, other things, and we keep important stuff in safe deposit boxes. If the house burns down or is destroyed by a tornado or a hurricane or a kaiju, at least you'll have these backups safe, okay? Of course, some people have already set up variations on a knowledge arc. Oglethorpe University, just outside of Atlanta, is what they call the crypt of civilization. It's basically a slice of life at the time it was created. Of course, this is just artifacts from those times, not really. And there's a salt mine between Hutchinson, Kansas, used for storing books, films, and computer data. In fact, many of them have printouts of the data on the disks, just in case the disks go bad. Okay. And Svalbard's Global Seed Vault, which has billions of seeds of various kinds of seeds, not just the standard ones used, but heirloom seeds, so that in case there's a repeat of the potato famine or some other devastating disease that kills one variety of crops, they have other varieties in storage. But ironically, the Svalbard seed vault is threatened by climate change because it was set up far in the north where they thought it would be safe, but now it's getting warmer up there, okay? And National Center for Genetic Resources Preservation keeps on ice samples of agriculturally important plants and animals. So in case there is some devastating disease or horrible crop failure or drought, and they'll have these as a backup, okay? And Memory of Mankind is in Europe, and they deal with personal memories, letters and pictures and things like that. Of course, that's more the personal side, but it gives you a good idea of slice of life, daily life, okay? And the ARC mission, it's pronounced ARC, not Arch, has created a number of high-tech arcs which contain a lot of information in a tiny space. And you see the dime and that little square there, that contains a lot of information. In fact, they have one aboard the Tesla that was launched into space. It contains Isaac Asimov's complete Foundation series. Okay. But the thing about the arcs I've mentioned is some of them are really high tech. So if we have a crash of our technology, it won't be much use. So you might think, oh yeah, I'd like to help set up a knowledge arc. So we need the low tech version to help us until we can get our civilization going again. So we have to think, okay, first, what do you want to put in it? Second, how are you going to get your materials? And third, how do you actually build one? Okay. And I decide, what are you going to include? I mean, knowledge, various fields, science, mathematics, medicine, history, engineering, and of course you want to include the arts, music, film, literature, poetry, TV, okay. And which media are the best? Stone tablets, I included that just for fun. Of course, they have the obvious advantage. They are very long lasting and rugged, but very obvious drawbacks. They're very heavy, they take up a lot of space. They're very hard to create, so we're not going to worry about that. Paper is a good medium. It has the advantages of being light, taking up little space, widely available. Of course, drawbacks, it's vulnerable to fire, insects, decay, and acid-free paper, if properly preserved, can last for centuries. Okay. And then you want to record not just the written, but you also want to have some music recordings, because you have the Verdi opera on paper, you have the libretto and the music, but you don't have the voices of the great singers or the performances of the great musicians. So it's nice to have records, CDs, and the like. The advantage is they preserve sound and video, but of course, drawbacks, they're not as long lasting as paper, and they need power and complex devices to play, and they're vulnerable to dust and scratches. And Blu-ray discs, I've heard, are not likely to last as long as CDs and DVDs. Now, some VHS tapes, especially from the 80s when they were more expensive, more rugged, they've lasted over 30 years, but of course that's no guarantee they'll last another 30 years, let alone say another 300. Okay. Electronic storage is nice because it takes up very little space. Think of all the stuff you have on your computer, preserves multiple types of media, because you can store it as a Word file or an MP3 or a video. And of course, the same medium as a hard drive or a thumb drive can store different kinds. But of course, the drawbacks again, you need power, you need a complex equipment, and the maximum lifespan of this is unknown. One time I gave this presentation, somebody said, Wikipedia could be considered a knowledge ark if you could preserve the servers. Of course, Wikipedia doesn't have absolutely everything, but it's a good point. Okay. Now, just for fun, I brought up some really high-tech stuff that would be nice. Nanostructured glass, which is developed at Southampton University. This has the potential to last for billions of years. Yes, billions with a B. But of course, the obvious problem is how do you read what's on that? You need some high-tech equipment. And then, okay. And then there's atomic memory, which stores information at the atomic level, which means you can get an extremely dense storage. You can fit a lot of information in a very tiny space, but again, the problem is how to read it. And also, last I heard, they still need some very precise conditions to preserve it. So we need something a little ruggeder and something a little more low tech, okay? So if you want to stock your ARC, the books, the DVDs, the CDs, whatever, well, you can start with your own shelves. Any good books you're willing to part with. And of course, you can go to thrift shops, used bookstores, yard sales, or go to Free Cycle and keep up with Free Cycle, see if when people offer books or DVDs. And of course, there are always online stores. Okay. And then when you get these, best way to preserve them, first seal them in Mylar bags, and then get all the air out, and then put them in airtight boxes or bins, which gives them an extra level of protection. And obviously you want to make a catalog of what you've stored. I mean, you set up these books, oops, which one is that? Which one is it? So you want to write on the outside, okay, this is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, this is Magic Mountain, this is Brief History of Time. Okay. And now you've got your materials ready, but where are you going to put a knowledge arc? You need to find a good site, one that's geologically stable and preferably in an arid environment. The Dead Sea Scrolls survived for as long as they did because they were in a desert, very low humidity and low airflow. And you want a place that's reasonably safe from weather and fire, want something that's not going to be affected by floods or tornadoes or wildfires. And of course, a cave or an abandoned mine or even a root cellar or something would be great because that will save you trouble. And then, okay, you want to build it. As I said, underground, not only more protection, but also underground places tend to have more constant temperature and humidity. And you also want to make sure that the interior is fairly sturdy. Okay.
Hold on.
But now,
skipped one. I think. There we go. Okay.
Okay. There, yes. Now, of course, we stock a knowledge arc. You stock it to communicate with future generations and make sure they don't have to reinvent the wheel or about a million other things. And you want to make sure that future generations are going to know about everything from Shakespeare to Star Trek. So you have to think, I mean, what if it has to last for decades, centuries, even millennia? How can you prepare for shifts in language that are going to happen? I mean, you try reading the Canterbury Tales in the original English of its time. And also, how do you preserve machines to play DVDs or MP3s, or communicate how to build such devices? Okay. So you really need two kinds of knowledge arcs, the short term and the long term. Short term is if it's going to take just a generation or two for society to pick itself up, dust itself off, and start all over again. Long term would be if it's a really devastating happening, and you may have to hang on to that stuff for many generations, possibly even centuries. And also, it's a good idea to have multiple knowledge arcs as backups, just in case some of them are destroyed by disaster or human intervention. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, okay? You need some kind of Rosetta Stone if you're going to communicate with others. So you need to make charts that are as language neutral as possible. But fortunately, mathematics and chemistry are universal languages that never change. I mean, gold is gold is gold. 2 + 2 is 4 in any language. And some people have suggested have a monastic style organization that keeps track of the knowledge arcs and also watches over them over the time until we can get the stuff out of them. And they can preserve our modern language while keeping up with the linguistic changes in order to make meaningful translations. Maybe we could call it the Order of St. Leibowitz. See, somebody got it. Okay, yes. Not everybody does. Okay. Now, hope I've gotten you all fired up on this idea. So we can start get in touch with educational, scientific, historical organizations that may be interested. Talk to your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, your family, your people with other meetups. And there's also a groups.io group for knowledge arcs. Right now it's not very active. People join, but they just kind of sit there. So I'm hoping to get that going. Okay.
Okay. Are you open to a few questions, Freya?
Sure. In fact,
okay. Well, I was just going to start off by saying that, of course, I've heard of knowledge arcs before, especially the seed vault, they have. But for me, it's always like I assumed that there were like universities and things were the only people doing this. But are you saying are there active like amateur groups or just hobbyists who are also working on these right now?
That's what I'm hoping to do, is get the hobbyists. I'm still also hoping to get some universities and all interested. Maybe if we get something going, that will attract the interest of larger organizations and say, oh yeah, we can do this too.
I've got I don't know if it's a question. It's Freya, are you familiar with the GitHub Arctic Code Vault?
I've not heard of that.
Yeah, so GitHub is a public, well, mostly public place where people put up coding projects, things like that. I've got one that's a Twitter bot, and I noticed one day that apparently my code is being preserved.
That's nice.
And there's a whole page about it, and the most intense stuff they're doing is using film technology that relies on silver halides on polyester that can last up to 1,000 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that's also going in some frozen tundra somewhere. So there's an effort like that that's just saying, hey, everybody who puts stuff out for the public domain, we're just going to save that. We're just going to hold on to that, which I think is cool.
Yeah. You can send me a link to that. I'm sure they'd be interested in it too. All right, thank you.
There it is in the chat.
All right, thanks.
Does anybody else have a question? Just unmute yourself and chime in. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Freya. That was awesome. Really thought-provoking there. Now I have an excuse to keep everything I own and preserve it. So all right. I'm going to move on to the next thing here. This is kind of an icebreaker, kind of an interactive thing I wanted to do, but just to try to get us thinking about the future and how we feel things are going and where things are. I'm going to throw this out there. Let me share my screen here just for a second to let me see. Okay. The idea I'm about to play around with is one that was presented in this self-help book by author Susie Welch called 10-10-10. And like all self-help books, it's based on the idea that you can honestly explain in like 2 minutes, and but she has examples for 200 pages. But still, it's an interesting book if you want to pick it up. There it is. If you want to add it to your Goodreads list. But the idea is, as she frames it, it's more of like a way to help put decisions in perspective, especially when you're facing a hard decision or a difficult decision or something that you're kind of torn about, is to ask yourself about the decision you're making and the options. What are the consequences of a choice you make? What do you feel the consequences are going to be for your choice you make in 10 minutes? What are the consequences going to be in 10 months? And what are the consequences going to be in 10 years? And it's a good way of taking what is a hard choice or a hard situation in the moment and putting it in a larger perspective. Just as an example of how Leah and I used this idea was when we were trying to decide whether or not to quit our jobs and travel South America. So if we were to take this thing, we'd say, well, if we decide to quit our jobs, what's the consequence going to be in 10 minutes? We're going to be scared and thinking we're out of our minds. Whereas if we decided not to go to South America, in 10 minutes, we'll be like, we would be, I don't know, ordering pizza or something, not stressful. What would the consequences have been 10 months after making that decision? Well, had we decided to go to South America, spoiler alert, we did, 10 months down the road, we would have been in South America trying to figure out the bus route to the next town we're going to take, or scheduling our next hostel, or going on some excursion out into the jungle. Whereas had we decided not to, then 10 months later, we would have still been in our jobs and pulling our hair out and just being very kind of miserable and bored. What are the consequences 10 years down the road? We haven't even reached that point yet, but I can already tell you, 10 years down the road, we're going to be able to look back and say, we're so glad we did that. If we had chosen the other way, 10 years down the road, we'd be saying, we should have done that. While we still could have. So I'm going to play with this idea, not really necessarily about decisions. And for our little exercise I'm going to do, I'm going to change the 10 month. I'm going to change the 10 minutes category to 10 days, but you'll see what we're going to do here in a second. But we're going to do a one of these online polls first. And I told Ashley I'd give her the bat signal. So here's the bat signal. Let me unshare my screen so she can. I think Ashley, you need to share yours and also send a link to us to log in.
Yes, I am sharing my screen and I will send the link.
Okay,
right,
so the link is
able to see my screen now.
All right.
And I'm gonna send the link out, although you should be able to see in the on the screen itself, you go to menti.com and use the code across the top, and that will put you into this particular set of questions.
Okay.
If I can find the chat, I will also, there it is. I'll also send it in the chat.
Do we put the spaces in the code?
There. The spaces don't matter.
Okay. All right. Okay, so everyone
This is
so our first,
interactive.
okay, interactive. So anyone who wants to play along, go ahead and log into that, and we'll see the results on the Zoom screen here. Apologies to everyone out there who doesn't have two computer screens like I do to be able to do this really easy. But the first question I'm going to want everyone to think about is right now, given the world we're living in and everything going on, how do you feel when you think about the future? And it's going to be a word cloud we're generating. So just think of emotions, like one word or two words, emotions, and just key in the top three things that come into your head here.
Now, this is going to turn into a crossword puzzle later, right?
It's doing it right now on our screen as we see. You type your three words, hit submit, and of course, any words that multiple people use are going to be bigger. How these word clouds work. And while everyone's doing this, I'm going to make a wild stab in the dark here and suggest that we're probably going to have a lot of kind of. Well, let's see. I don't want to skew the results. Let me be scientific. We'll see what the results come up with. Yeah, just enter the things in the Mentimeter and it will pop up. So I'm seeing. Okay, I'm seeing. Our big three words are anxiety, hopeful, and uncertain. Well, those are certainly the three choices. I see things like semi-excited, stuck, tired. I see helplessness. I see anger. I see optimistic. I see intrigued. I see yikes. That's definitely an emotion. Yikes. Worry just popped up. Scared. Depressed. Precarious. So I would say these are not surprises to anyone living in this. As the Chinese used to say, may you live in interesting times. This is the word cloud for interesting times. I'm gonna now try and zero down our thoughts in the future to a multiple choice question. So we can go to the next screen here. On your thing, it'll say your presenter has changed slide, go to slide in Mentimeter. So this here is a pick one question. The question is, what type of future do you think we're heading toward? And I have these on a sliding scale from dystopian to utopian, with Mad Max being the most dystopian and Star Trek being the most utopian. So everyone vote. Are we going for the complete Mad Max, everyone on their own, driving your automobile through the desert, being chased by mutants? Are we going to be hunting each other down on reality television in the Hunger Games? Are we going to live in just these big high density areas living in virtual reality like Ready Player One? Are we going to have a big high density city with air cars and McDonald's like in The Fifth Element? Or are we just going to go whole hog out there and explore the galaxy like Star Trek? Just no love for The Fifth Element. Oh, there we go. So I see we have some hardcore optimists here. Okay, we have the opposite of a bell curve going on now. That's interesting. So we're either going to go all the way one or the other. So yeah, we're either going to boldly go where no one has gone before, or witness me as we sail into the desert. Okay, so this is just like a little fun, just to kind of see where we're thinking, just get our minds going here about thinking about the future. So I think on average we skewed slightly optimistic here, but just by a hair. Oh no, we're going more. One more for the flying cars and McDonald's of The Fifth Element. And where you save the universe with a love ray. Never forget that in The Fifth Element you save the universe with a love ray. So okay, so we're gonna do our next three exercises are going to be word clouds again, but they're going to be a lot more specific than the last one. So let's go to the next slide. Click go to slide your Mentimeter screen. And and once again, I want you to think about the future and how you feel about it. But instead of just saying the future, how do you feel about when you think about the future 10 days from now, which is Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. Not this coming week, but the next week. Think about like what your expectations are for that, and just kind of picture in a couple words how you imagine you're going to feel 10 days from now when you think about the future. Or how you feel now when you think about 10 days from now. Okay. All right. I see normal has popped up as a word. Bored has popped up. Pensive, worried, calm, hopeful, nothing, angry, busy. Racism will be on our minds. Ready. We're going to be ready in 10 days. Still anxious, still tired. We have happy popped up in the chat. Okay, so it's almost like, we're still kind of in the same holding pattern we've been in, but we're ready for it. We're bracing. We're personal goals conquered. I like that. Still in quarantine. Okay. Okay is a word on there. Claustrophobic. I feel ya. Whoever put that in there, I feel ya. But grateful. The same. Eager. Okay. It's all right. So we kind of got like 10 days from now, we kind of know, even in the chaos, we kind of have a feel for what to expect 10 days from now. So we kind of got a handle on it. Okay. Let's say we're going to think about the future 10 months from now. Now, 10 months from now will be June 20th. I'm sorry, I got this wrong. It's 2020. Well, yeah, it'll be 10 months from now will be July 20th, 2021. So take a second, imagine what you think might be different, hopefully will be different, how you might be different in 2021, and write a few words about how you might feel thinking about the future 10 months from now.
Thanks, Ashley.
Okay. So we have words like relieved, hopeful, the all-important depends on the election. Ain't that the truth? Cautiously optimistic. Things we think about how we're feeling right now about the future. So cautiously optimistic. Thinking more fulfilled, secularized, balanced, activated, persevering, still busy, accelerated. That's how the future works. Things accelerate. Hopefully better. I have quarantine and I see vaccinated. I'm sure both will be true for many people at that point. Smarter, unsure, grateful is still showing up. Renewed, recovery, free. This is what we're hoping for. accomplishment. So I'm going to kind of go on a limb here and saying that when we focus on a specific time in the future beyond what we're in now, we're kind of seeing something a little more hopeful than just the general overwhelming thought of the future we saw earlier. At least that's kind of what this is. I was crossing my fingers and hoping we would see, but I think that's kind of, but still, it's all cautious. We're not sure of anything. Now let's take one more leap. And I want you to, now it's impossible to predict the future, but when you try to imagine the future 10 years from now, September 20th, 2030, I'll be 60 years old. And just think about how you feel now when you think about what the future might be like in 10 years. I see the word old. I did not put that, but I feel you. Mad Max makes an appearance. Fulfilled, equal, proud, resilient, alive, maybe. We all hope. Energized, successful, exciting, glad, successful. I see the words three-term president. I'm thinking about this in 2030 will be in the third presidential term from now. So it's whoever wins this election and the next election and the next election after that. So that's up to 3 presidents in the future. Mars. Oh, yes. But you kidding? Venus is where it's at now, y'all. We're going to Venus next. Resilient, creative, contented, better off, centered. Okay, so I just want to, of course, I'm distorting Susie Welch's idea from the book, which is about decision making, but I just wanted to show you all this exercise and how it's one good mental exercise we all do to kind of live in the moment, focus on the now, but also because we can't avoid thinking about the future, we can't avoid thinking about the past, and a good way to put the future into perspective and not let yourself be overwhelmed. Yes, there's negative stuff coming in the future. Yes, there's a big fight this year. It's probably one of the most important fights in the history of our country this year, but just to not be overwhelmed, to not just be hit in the face with despair when thinking about the future. It's a simple exercise of picturing specific points in the future. Where are we going to, how are things going to be 10 minutes from now? How do you think things are going to be with whatever decisions you make in your life, whatever 10 days from now? Think about it 10 months from now, and try and picture your life 10 years from now. And hopefully that'll help you guide. I know this concept has key points in my life. To help to guide my decision making and thinking and helped me narrow it down and just get through the overwhelming and to skip over the despair and the dread and just help yourself step into the next moment. We're going on an hour. Tell you what, we're gonna I was thinking we might break into little rooms and talk, but why don't we save discussion for afterward so we can just so we can move on. And thank everyone for playing along with this exercise. And okay, so Ashley, okay, there we go. Thank you, Ashley. Let's give a big virtual round of applause for Ashley for setting up the Mentimeter poll for us. And the next thing we're going to do is Life Happens. And I'm going to turn the mic over to Adam. This is where we, if anyone's new, this is where we share things that have gone on in our life in the last month or going on right now. And in general, well, I'll let Adam explain. Go ahead.
All right. How you guys doing? I watched the YouTube stream of the last one, and I realized my mic was all, I don't know, had like crackles and fuzzes going on. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, so Life Happens is a fun little segment we do here every meeting where we just talk about what's going on with us. So if you've submitted something, I'm going to read it now. And I just ask that we give claps for, things that we're going to celebrate and snaps for things that might require some support. And I always say this, but a lot of times there's claps and snaps. So we might want to change the name of this, Ross, to Claps and Snaps. I don't know. Just putting it out there. Might be a good band name too. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. So, all right. So I've got 9 responses, which is really cool. So I'm going to start reading them. Andy's is first. And Andy said, I'm about to begin an intensive course, which is intended to help me identify various flavors of barriers to my living an authentic life. The course comes highly recommended by those who have taken other courses by the same organization. And I know that I have people on my support team to whom I can turn if I feel unpleasant emotions. However, I currently feel afraid that if I decide to go all in, as I tend to do in such endeavors, I will feel overwhelmed by the changes the process asks of me. And as I did for much of my childhood, will deep down feel incredibly alone in the process. The meta reality this is surfacing is that my anticipatory or pervasive feelings of aloneness are the very reason that I need to pursue this type of work. So I think I've just achieved some valuable insight right there. Thanks for witnessing this shift. And then he put in parentheses, and it's claps for me, no snaps. This is all good. So awesome, Andy. Thanks for sharing. I really appreciate it. Oh, and I got 10 now. So someone just entered something. So we'll see. Number 2 comes from my wife, Paulina. And she put, I have my phlebotomy school registration on Tuesday. And if everything goes well, I will start it next month. I'm happy to be able to continue my education and hopefully join the healthcare workforce sometime beginning the beginning of next year. I am also worried that what we will do with Lily, that's our little one, when I go back to work. It is another thing to figure out during this pandemic. We had some ups and downs with all this distance learning, but so far, so good. So give claps for that. Very cool. I see y'all clapping. I only hear my claps, but that's okay. All right. Next up is, I put this one. I said, between needing to buy a new car battery out of nowhere, developing an eyelid infection that costs a bunch of money to treat, needing to get a new laptop, and the rising investment costs for our educational and new business endeavors, I kind of hate money right now. So I'll take some snaps on that one. Appreciate it. But no fear, because I made another entry. Okay, and this one will be a clap one. So I said here, I'm very happy to announce and share the updated parents section on the Sunday Assembly Atlanta website that I had a hand in creating. Many thanks to Ross for his help and guidance on this. We're using this space to share the secular parenting resources we gather and share at every Secular Parents community group, whose virtual meetups have been a pleasure to lead. So, very cool. All right. Number 5. Got Jared here. My power was out all day and I was somewhat freaking out about whether I could host the assembly. Luckily, it came back on just as I was getting in my car to hunt for a hotspot. Glad that happened. Very cool. Sometimes those things need to happen and we can appreciate them more, right? So, all right, Ross. Ross put, our home is suffering from water damage. Work is pretty stressful and national politics are anxiety-inducing. Pushing myself to useful action. For sure, man. There we go. Thanks for sharing that, Ross. Number 7, Freya, we got a new job, which started last week. Very cool. Congratulations. All right. And Ashley put, spending a lot of time learning and relearning about empathy, shame, and resilience from Bren Brown's work. I'm not sure I pronounced that right. As I prepare for workshops on these themes at work in a few weeks. Excited to get to bring these game-changing insights into the workplace and create spaces where people can apply them to their lives. It's also reminding me to apply these lessons to my own life in ever deeper ways as well. Cool. Thanks, Ashley.
And Ashley, it's pronounced.
It is Brené Brown.
Brené
Buy all of her
Brown.
books, absorb her work, it will change your life.
Yes.
Cool. Appreciate that. All right. Ben Bradley put, I just rediscovered a weekly online songwriting event I participated in once in 2009, and I'm enthusiastic. Very cool. All right. And last entry for today. I love when last entries look like this. This is from Diane. It just says, I love this cool weather today. Very cool. Very cool. All right. And that's it for Life Happens. I want to thank everyone for their awesome responses.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Adam, for hosting that for us again this month. Okay, now comes the part where I ask for money. Even this year where we're meeting online and we're not having the potlucks and we're not having the rental spaces, we still have expenses for Sunday Assembly, and we would still love to be able to come back swinging once the quarantine is over and have a bunch of really awesome stuff lined up for our in-person meetup. So we're always grateful for any kind of donation of time, energy, or just plain money that people are willing to give. Right now, we're able to accept donations via PayPal and Venmo, and it is really helpful to us, especially the people who set up recurring donations, even if it's just like $5 or $2 or $3 or whatever we can do. Just every recurring donation we get is income that we know we're going to have each month to keep bringing you these wonderful assemblies. Here endeth the NPR PBS pledge drive moment. And we have stuff coming up. We have a lot of stuff coming up this month. Besides our regular assembly, we have virtual mindfulness meditation. This is a regular occurrence. Our next one is going to be tomorrow night, Monday, September 21st at 7 p.m. All of our events are online, so go to Meetup and you will be able to find where to log in and have this. We're going to have walking virtual mindfulness meditation on Wednesday this week, September 23rd at 7 p.m. And I saw on Meetup that this is through Zoom. Does someone want to tell me how this works? Because I'm curious.
Joanne's not here, but my understanding is that because we still haven't gotten all back on board with in-person events, the idea is that you're just on a call or you're on Zoom and you walk wherever you want to walk near you. And it's just, I mean, it's just like you can meditate by yourself. There's an extra, like, you're more likely to do it and you want to do it when you know other people are doing it with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other people keep you on track. Okay. We have the Secular Parents Community Group coming up Thursday, September 24th at 8 p.m. Was this yours, Adam? Do you want to say a word about this, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, anyone's welcome to join. It's definitely geared towards parents. But yeah, we have a great time discussing resources and kind of supporting each other and talking about topics. This month's topic is, I guess, being a secular parent. We're going to focus in on the secular part of it. So yeah, it's gonna be fun.
All right. Okay, the next one we have coming up a week from now, almost a week from now, we have the Feminist Book Club. This will be the second session, I believe. They're discussing the book Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall. It'll be Saturday, September 26th at 11 a.m. So you get to sleep in and get to do this early. Does anyone want to chime in and talk about where they are? Or
yeah, so that's one of the groups that I'm a part of. So we are doing the second half of the book. So it's pretty much divided into equal halves of I think it's up through chapter maybe 13 or so for the part 1. So we're doing basically from there to the end for part 2. But if you've read some of it or any of it, come in and kind of share your insights and what you're learning. And in particular, we want to be figuring out what are we like doing with that new information, not just learning and sitting with it, but always kind of reflecting on how that shifts our actual behavior.
Okay. As long as I got you on the mic, Ashley, we also have the Anti-Racism Action Group coming up almost 10 days from now on Tuesday, September 29th at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, so I'll speak a little bit to this. So this is kind of the new imagining of what was our Anti-Racism on Learning group for the past couple of months, where we were working through Me and White Supremacy by Layla Saad. So we, those of us who kind of persisted to the end of that, finished that up last week. And so we're kind of reinventing the group to be a little bit more self-directed. And so we also wanted to have a lot more like accountability around action. A lot of our intention at the beginning and going through Me and White Supremacy was to do the really important introspection that is a part of anti-racism being in the world. And we also want to make sure that it doesn't end there for us, that we have the accountability and community support to always be turning that toward action. And so the goal here really is everybody's kind of bringing their own projects. That might be, you know, someone new joins and they're working through Me and White Supremacy, or someone's reading Hood Feminism, or someone's participating in a political campaign, or getting involved in a organization through volunteerism. So it's kind of whatever each individual wants to do for their anti-racism action, and we'll kind of meet as a support group around that, where we're processing and sharing and reflecting and also holding accountability with each other to continue to turn this toward action. We did pick a new time, so this is no longer 8:30 on Mondays. We're shifting it a little bit earlier, so if that makes it available to you to join. And this will also be a bi-weekly cadence, so every other week starting on the 29th.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ashley. I was just looking at all these events coming up, and it just struck me that, you know, once the quarantine hit and lockdown went and we canceled our March Assembly, whatever it was, I think, you know, a bunch of us, I know, well, I don't want to speak for other people. I know I was kind of really unsure of where Sunday Assembly was going to go and how we were going to maintain during this period. It almost feels to me like in some ways this year has kind of energized us to be more on focus with our overall mission of, you know, especially the helping often and live better and finding ways to engage with the community and reach out and better ourselves in the process. So this is all awesome stuff. And keep checking on the meetup page because there's stuff going on all month. Our next assembly will be right here in your room with the same computer, probably on October 18th at 5:30 p.m. And I
Is it
have
the
no
same
reason
bat time and the same bat channel, maybe? I'm just curious.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Wow. Batman says to come.
The one time it matters. I feel like I earned that one.
Okay. And of course, we cannot let the congregation congregate without a song from the band. We prepared one of our favorites for you this month, so everyone just sit back and enjoy. Let me see.
I'm doing a drum roll.
Okay. I'm sharing correctly this time. I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things that I should say. Say them loud, say them clear, for the whole wide world to hear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart. Remove all the bars that keep us apart. And I wish you could know how it feels to be me. Then you'd see and agree that everyone should be free. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. Well, I'd soar to the sun and look down at the sea, and I'd sing, 'cause I know how it feels to be free. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. And I wish I could say all the things that I want to say. Say them loud, say them clear, for the whole wide world to hear. Say them loud, say them clear, for the whole Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming to Assembly. It's been good to see you all.
Hey,
So I guess
was that Giselle? Was that a tambourine that he?
He has a Prince shaker, I think. Although,
That's so cool.
yeah, although in the bit when he was playing the keyboards, that was me with the banana shaker. I didn't have it on video because I had to do it right in front of my face to get this little mic to pick it up. But yes, Giselle has a Prince shaker. It's awesome. All right. Well, everyone feel free to unmute yourselves and congregate if we wish.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks
That was
for
great song choice, great editing, the words, performances.
The words are great, but the lyrics were even better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good song for these times.
I remember
Ben, what was the name of that songwriting thing that you were talking about in the Life Happens?
Oh, we got an echo.
Song Fight.
Song Fight?
Yeah, I'll post a link to my thing 11 years ago.
Okay.
Hey everyone, no, we gotta get going. Actually, I have a meeting.